Yo, what I really do? DC gang, welcome back to the channel, my boys, my gangsters. As always, I hope you guys are having a great day out there, gang. So with that being said, I got it on me. I don't know what I'm going to name the video yet, what the title will be, but basically we have some of the best hand traps to use in this format, in this season, whatever you want to call it, even for the World Cup. Now we're gonna do a whole breakdown of all the cards, why they're good, the pros and cons, and all the extra shenanigans. Before we get into all of that, just a quick reminder, if you guys enjoy the content, remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe to the boy, because I would greatly appreciate it. Now, if there are any cards or any saucy tech or any hand traps that I haven't put in here that you think belong in this list, comment in the section below to see some sauciness that I didn't add in here. But these are the most popular, some techs that are not that popular, but I just wanted to show you this list right here. So it's 45 cards. We're gonna start it off with the DD Crow. Now there's no ranking for these. I mean, some of them are better than others. I'm going to tell you which ones are really good and all that, but because you know the game puts them in the list in order like this, I don't have an order for them. But either way, we're gonna run the DD Crow, and I think the DD Crow is a really good hand trap right now because of the fact that almost any form of graveyard removal is going to be good. It's going to be good, and the fact that this is a quick effect, you could use it on your turn, you could use it on the opponent's turn, makes it even better. You know, it's not locked on like Effect Veiler, where it's, you know, during your opponent's turn, that's when you activate Effect Veiler. This is good because you could use it your turn, your opponent's turn. So while they're doing a combo, if you want to disrupt that combo, throw that DD Crow, get whatever they're trying to special summon or get out of the graveyard, banish that, get it out of here. Also, if you just want to save it for your turn, when let's say you're playing against Snake Eyes, Flameberg will stand down there, you know, he's trying to special summon 2 specific monsters, get them out of there. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of good things with the DD Crow, and the fact that it's not just for monsters makes it even better. If there's a spell down there like the what's the spoils, because you know that the spoils is gonna activate during their next turn to send a Snake Eye card back into the deck so they could search out a level 1 monster. If you want to get it out of there before that happens, then DD Crow, right? So that's why DD Crow is really good. I think this is really good for this format right now if you can fit it into your deck. After that, we're gonna go for the Effect Veiler. Effect Veiler is extremely good, but one of the things about Effect Veiler and even Infinite Impermanence, which is on this list, is the fact that there are a lot of ways to dodge effects right now, like with the Kirin, or even the, you know, people aren't really playing on chain all that much, but even the Arvada can dodge effects. There's a lot of ways to just get a monster out of the field after the activation, try to target it. There's a lot of targeting protection, and you know, for that reason, I think Effect Veiler is still going to be great, but it is lower in tier wise because of the fact that it can be dodged, right? Then we're gonna go for the Duel and Lockbird. A lot of people are saying, oh, Duel and Lockbird meta is back, put the Duel and Lockbird in there. Yeah and no. Yeah, because it does kind of do a lot against certain decks. It does. A good Duel and Lockbird without your opponent being able to stop it can and will stop a turn play, right? Now the main thing is that, for example, Snake Eyes does play pretty well into it, and Snake Eyes isn't dead. Most people are going to be playing Snake Eyes, Fire King Snake Eyes, Fire King, whatever you want to call it. And Duel and Lockbird can stop the Fire King engine. Yes, it can, but it will not stop the Snake Eye engine. And Snake Eye still does have plays on the Duel and Lockbird. But for everything else, it's still kind of decent. I wouldn't put it above the DD Crow or the Infinite Impermanence though. But I think you should definitely run it if you can or want to. It's still a good hand trap. Then we're gonna put the Kurikara in here, Divine Carnate. This is more optional. I don't think everybody's gonna run Kurikara. I think it's a really good card though, because of all of the effects of monsters that happen on the field that have been activated from a lot of different decks. You know, get everything out of here, special summon it. It could get pretty beefy against 1,000 attack, 1,500 attack for each monster that was distributed on the field. So she's like one of those last minute resource type of thing. You use everything that you had in the hand, you manage to get your opponent to use the effects that they were getting, you get rid of everything. It's really good for breaking boards. basically. Now it's better in a Snake Eyes deck because Snake Eyes can search a level 1, but other than that, it's still pretty good. You know, a lot of end boards end up with Appaloosa if Appaloosa used an effect. You know, if Baron the Floor already negated, all of that. The good thing about it is that you will have a negate if they have the Baron the Floor, because you're gonna be able to steal a monster from the graveyard during the end turn. So I think she's really good. Now she's somewhere near the bottom of this if I had to make a list, which, you know what, we're gonna do it. I'm gonna make a list and put it in the comment section and I'm gonna rank them so that way you can see it. Right now we're just gonna go over them, right? So yeah, Kurikara, I would still put her somewhere in the middle to lower tier because of the fact that not every deck can search it and it's a little bit situational. And then of course we have the king of hand traps, the maximum bug, the boy, the Maxi, which everybody, well, most people want banned. I kind of want it banned, but I want it banned just to see how the game would be, because I feel like we have a lot of board breakers now. We have a lot of good going second cards, and we have a few decent going second decks. So I low-key want to see what will happen if Maxi gets banned. But until then, it is the best hand trap in the game, because if your opponent special summons like a zillion times, which most decks are going to do anyways, you're gonna draw your whole deck. It's just we all know about Maxi. If you don't have the out, you have to stop playing the game, or you got to, you know, play the game and then let your opponent have the whole deck in their hand. So Maxi. Then we're gonna run the Sign Frame Gamma. Sign Frame Gamma is actually extremely good. For specific decks, it's even better. For example, there are certain decks that don't start their combo until they activate, like, you know, back row and stuff like that, or spells and things. Like, you know, when we had, what do you call it? The Super Heavy Samurai, they used to have the Gamma because, you know, if you max C before you special summon the, I think it was the Apprentice, before they special summon it, they would try to throw out the max C, you Gamma. It's still the same thing even for Snake Eyes and other decks like that when you start your combo with spells and things, and then, you know, you activate monster effects from the hand. Like, for example, if they're trying to activate a Poplar from the hand and you throw out a Maxi and they have the Gamma, it's gonna be sad times for you. So the reason, that's why we play the Gamma. Also, if you need a free Omni Negate, which, you know, if you play Gamma and you play Axial Cinco Stardust Dragon, then you have basically a free Baron de la Flor, which is really good for a lot of the decks. So Gamma is actually up there in the top tier hand traps as of right now. And then we have the Ghost Ogre, Snow Rabbit, which before the Fire King cards came out, when we were just which is not that long ago, which is like a week and some change ago, when Horus was out here clapping people left and right, and we was having a Horus pandemic, which I still think we have, and I think Horus is cool, so no problems with that. But Ghost Ogre was nice to pop the spell. I think it's still kind of nice because, for example, if you're playing against Fire Kings or anything like that, and they do activate the field spell, you can kind of pop the field spell, pop their field. It might be good or it might not be bad. You have to time it and know when to do certain things. But Ghost Ogre, I would put it somewhere in the mid to lower tier. It's still really good, but I don't see a lot of people playing this. I don't think a lot of people will be playing it unless it's beneficial to your deck. So, but it's still a good hand trap. Then we're gonna go to the Ghost Reaper, the Winter Cherries. Now this thing is tough for the mirror match. I think if you play the mirror match and you have room for the hand traps and you want to add some sauciness, add some different things, this thing says if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, which, you know, is better for going second, quick effect, you can discard this card, reveal one card in your extra deck, then look at your opponent's extra deck. Also banish all cards in the extra deck with the same name as the reveal card. So if you're dealing with a lot of mirror matches, I think this is the card for you. It's really good. Or you could, you know, if you have a lot of space in your extra deck and you want to run certain extra deck monsters that you don't even play, but you know that you're playing a lot against, you could put them in there, put this thing in your deck just in case, which that would be a little nuts. But it is a good hand trap for the mirror match, which in the World Cup right now, there are a lot of mirror matches happening. Trust me, I know, because I've been playing. So it could be good. Now, it's one of those situational cards as well, because you have to be playing the mirror match. Now, there are certain cards in the extra deck that are just staples, like, you know, like Hita, the Dark Charmer, Gloomy, whatever, all the extra shenanigans that a lot of people are playing. If you're playing a lot of generic shenanigans in your extra deck, this thing is also good for you. Now, I would still put this in the middle to lower tier if I had to, because, you know, it's still situational. Then we have the, you know, the Shorty, the One, the Only, the Joyous, the Spring, the Ash Blossom. So we that was freaking long ass introduction, but either way, we're gonna play the Ash. Mainly Ash is always gonna be popular because of the fact that it's gonna stop the best hand trap in the game. So of course we're gonna play Ash Blossom at all times, but Ash Blossom is also good for a lot of different reasons. I think if Maxi was banned, I would probably still play Ash. I would probably still play Ash, because there's a lot of times when I'm pretty sure you have too if you play the game, where Ash, you didn't use it on the Maxi, you stopped some shenanigans. For example, Branded, you get the Branded Fusion out of here and they get it with the Ash, and that might just stop their whole game plan. So it's still good. It's still one of the most popular cards. I'm pretty sure that it would go down. It would go down in popularity if Maxi got banned, though. I'm pretty sure of it. But either way, I would personally probably still play it. But that's why we have the Ash in here now. Ghost Bell. I haven't been hit with Ghost Bell, and I don't even know how long, bro. But basically, Ghost Bell is still really good. It does negate the Flameberg, by the way. It does negate, if I'm not mistaken, it should negate the Kirin, by the way. And it should negate the other level A. I'm forgetting the Fire King level A that special summons when you pop a fire monster from the hand of the grave. The opponent Fiend Garunix. The Garunix, that's the one. It kind of stops it stops basically anything that's trying to move from the graveyard, which, except for spells and traps, of course. But it's still really good. I think Ghost Bell is being slept on right now. I would definitely 100% put Ghost Bell in the mid to high tier hand trap for this specific season, even the World Cup right now, because of all the graveyard shenanigans that's been going on. I think Ghost Bell is being slept on. Now again, all of these are depending on you and whether you want to run them or not, because some people just rather run other hand traps instead of other ones, right? So we're also gonna have the Ghost Mourner here, the Moonlight Chill. Now I think Ghost Mourner is more like mid to bottom tier, because yes, it's a negate, but it also targets. I've seen a lot of people playing this card. I was playing it. I think it was in Pearly when I was playing Pearly or whatever deck I was playing. But basically, I would put it mid to low tier because it does target. Like I said, there's a lot of shenanigans that will, dodge targeting effects in the game as of right now. And then on top of that, it's once per turn. It's not like the other, it's not like Diddy Crow. It's not like Effect Veiler, which these hand traps are not once per turn. Even this thing, if it get Ash, you could activate it again, which is nuts. So, for that reason, we put it in the lower tier or mid to lower tier and stuff like that. Now this right here, Skullmeister, is a secret sauciness, which I think if you're playing level 4 shenanigans, you should kind of play this, because again, it kind of stops graveyard shenanigans. And if you're playing Valmonica, I think this is a good level 4 to just have in there, at least 2 copies of it if you want. The deck is bricky, but it is what it is. Now this thing says when a card effect is activated in your opponent's graveyard, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard and negate the effect, which is really cool, because again, anything that can stop any graveyard shenanigans right now is good for the game. If you're playing level 4 shenanigans, Skullmeister is the card for you. Then of course I did include both of the shufflers, because most people play them in tier limits. But if you're playing any type of mill deck, or again, if you're playing any level 4 shenanigans, the only thing I can freshly think of my mind is Valmonica, right? Which you can play this in Valmonica, right? If you have your 2 pendulum cards, either one of them has to discard to place themselves in the pendulum zone. You have this in the graveyard. This will remove 3 cards from play. Well, from the graveyard whenever your opponent decides to activate anything. So I don't see why you wouldn't even try to run 1 copy or something like that of them in your deck. Now again, it depends on what type of deck you're playing, whether you want to risk the brickiness or risk anything else over them. But I think they're actually just really good for the current meta, because again, anything that stops the graveyard, removes graveyard from gameplay, is gonna be top tier right now. So I will put this to mid to high tier, if I had to rate them, right? Both of them, the Mudara and the Kaldo. And then there are some floodgatiness in here that I added, but they're just tech. So even this, the End of Anubis, which not every deck can play, but if your deck can play it, again, it's a floodgate. But you do what you gotta do, bro. Play the game how you play the game. I'm not a big fan of floodgates, but I'm not gonna tell you how to play the game. Konami gave you the cards, they're in the game. You wanna use them. I don't care. So this says, while this card is face up on the field, all cards and effects that target cards in the graveyard or that activate in the graveyard are negated. So End of Anubis. Now, like I said, not every deck can play this. It's kind of difficult to get it out. I know that Sprite can get them out, but again, that's up to you whether you want to play it or not. Then after that, of course, we have the Dimension Shifter, a card that everybody hates, including me. I might play it if I'm playing Kashyyyra or some shenanigans like that, but this thing is insane. It's basically Microcosmos, which I didn't put Microcosmos in the list just because Microcosmos is more of a Floodgate than this is. Microcosmos is continuous. At least it's not continuous. But either way, Dimensional Shifter, if your deck can play, which I know Exorcista can play it, I know that Kashyyyra can play it. What else could play this? I don't know anything off the top of my head right now. But again, this shuts down the graveyard. Any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead, which I should have put Dark Claw in here. I just thought about that, but Dark Claw could but Dark Claw is not like a hand trap, like a tech. It's a part of an engine, so that's why I didn't put it in. But yeah, Dimensional Shifter will basically win you games. And then I didn't put every single Bestial in here, because if I put Magnahut, then you know that every single Bestial. I think Bestials are still being slept on, and I think they're honestly, I think they're being slept on. I would still put them in mid tier, because you know they are part of an engine that's 1 and 2. It's like they're only good for specific cards as of right now. I know we're in a Fire Nation meta right now, I get it, but even the Fire Nation is playing dark monsters like IP. Get the IP out of here. IP is crucial to a lot of the Snake Eyes shenanigans that's been going in the game. So being able to banish them and special summon your Bestials is really good. So if you're playing a Bishop variant, honestly, I don't think you're at a disadvantage at all. Because again, the Diabastar is in the game. And IP is in the game. Which, you know, both Snake Eyes Kashyyyra and Snake Eyes in general. And even Rescue Ace do play certain dark monsters. Now, it's more beneficial against the Kashyyyra, I mean the Snake Eye shenanigans, because you're basically getting rid of one of the emergent plays, which is the IP. So they're still slept on. I think you should still run them if you can. If your deck revolves around certain things, and this is something that will be beneficial to your deck, I think it's not bad that you're running them. It's just right now they're mid to lower tier because of the fact that we're in the Fire Nation meta. Now I put one Kaiju in here, but any Kaiju is good right now for the game. Because, for example, one of the things about, let's say, even Snake Eyes themselves, Snake Eyes Fire King, whatever, is the fact that they're going to leave the Whale on the field. Get the Whale out of here. Now they're going to have a little harder time. This is not a fire monster. So now they have to figure out what else to pop in order to start doing their shenanigans. Because the whole thing about Snake Eyes Fire King is that they have to pop a fire monster to start doing their shenanigans. So if they don't have a fire monster to pop, you gave them a Kaiju. If your deck can play Kaijus, then I think Kaijus are very viable for that reason. We have the Lava Golem, which is not that great, honestly speaking. I heard some people having some conversations about why Lava Golem is good against Snake Eyes Fire King, because they end up on the Arvada and then the Whale, or they end up on the Flameberg and the Whale, which is really good because, yeah, you give them this, you're not popping cards, but again, you're still going to trigger the Flameberg, which is not good, because then they're going to get to level 1s on the field. They could set up the wall. Then you're going to have to worry about the Promethean Princess. And also, Lava Golem is a part of the Fire Nation. So, if they decide to pop this, it's a fire monster that was popped, they're going to get plays off of it. They're going to get plays off of it immediately. And on top of that, if they have another fire monster in the hand to pop with a Kirin or something like that, then you just gave them the free extra level 8 so they could go into the Avian, the Xyz monster, and then, you know, they're gonna wipe out the board. So I only put this in here to tell you why it's not that great to play it if you're thinking about having this and playing it in one of your decks. And then we have the Nibiru, the Primal Being, aka the Rock, Dwayne Johnson, the People's Elbow. This thing is always gonna be good. It wasn't all that good against pure Snake Eyes. It's still not that good against pure Snake Eyes, and it's not that good against tier limits, but everything else, I think Nibiru is still worth playing as for going second shenanigans. It's still going to be extremely good. You know, even with the Snake Eyes Fire King, they don't play that well into the Nibiru, which is why I was telling people, like, why don't you just play 2 Flamebergs again? If you're playing the version with the field spell and just leave that thing back there, it's not gonna hurt anybody. It's just gonna hurt the consistency of everything else. But either way, they don't play 2 Flamebergs anymore. So Nibiru is actually extremely good against Snake Eyes Fire King, because you will wipe the board, which is one of the reasons why I was thinking, like, if they're gonna ban anything, it should be Flameberg or Poplar. It's one of the two, which I think will get hit in the next ban list, because, you know, they're starting to get played out by now. So we're gonna have the Nibiru in here. And then Raigeki, I decided to put Raigeki in here because it's a little situational, right? But Raigeki is not that good. Honestly speaking, we could take Raigeki out of here. It's just anything that clears a board is also extremely good, especially if you're playing a going second deck. Raigeki is going to be good, and I've seen people use a lot of Raigekis recently. But against, for example, Fire King Snake Eyes, Raigeki is not gonna be that great. Unless they already activated all the effects and you still want to pop, but they kind of want to get popped. So it's debatable whether Raigeki is good or not like that. So, but we're still going to have it in there just in case, because I know it's been played frequently lately. And then we're going to run the Harpy's Feather Duster, one of my favorite tech cards to have in most of my decks that I've been building lately. And it's because of a lot of the back row shenanigans that's been going on. Now, mind you, against pure Snake Eyes, it's not that great, because they will activate to Flameberg is always going to activate to bring the IP from the back onto the field, right? So not that great. But now if you're playing against Fire King Snake Eyes, then getting rid of that field spell will destroy the whole board. Now if they do have the Sanctuary in the back, it's sometimes for you to just pop another fire monster. So but you're not gonna always just be playing against Snake Eyes Fire King. There is Labyrinth, there is what do you call it, Despia, branded Despia. I know that extra shenanigans. I still think Harpy's Feather Duster is top tier. And then there it is. Soul Release the soul from your opponent after you basically target 5 cards in any graveyard and banish them. You could use this to technically dodge some effects from your own graveyard, but I don't think you want to banish your own cards unless you do. Unless it's beneficial to you, you could get them back or something like that. Soul Release is really good, because again, it's going to remove 5 cards from the graveyard, which means I would target Flameberg, I would target Snake Eye Ash, any one of the level 1, the Ponix, whatever shenanigans that's in there that might get special summoned or is going to activate some shenanigans. So release, get them back into the deck. You basically just stopped a bunch of different things with this card right here. So this is one of the best one. I would put this into mid to top tier right now for the specific meta right now, for the specific season that we're in. So then we're gonna go with the Change of Heart. Again, this is mainly for going second decks, right? But taking over a Flameberg or taking over a Whale is actually extremely good right now, because if the Whale doesn't get popped, then you're having a great time. As one, if Flameberg doesn't go to the graveyard, then you're also having a great time. And if they haven't activated the Flameberg to bring the IP from the back, then that play is dead, unless they have the Snake Eyes field spell in the back. So you kind of stopping a good amount of shenanigans with this thing right here, which is tough. Now I don't have a copy of it at all, but I think it's really good. It's really good, especially if you have a going second deck. Definitely have to play some Change of Hearts. Now we do have the Lightning Storm. Now again, the reason why I like Lightning Storm is because it's gonna bait out in a gate. If they're not gonna stop it, again, you could pop the every attack position. With most people put monsters in attack position, it just that's what most people do. So if you wanna hit them with that, they might be surprised that you even have this thing. Now this is still mid to low tier, because again, the cards want to get popped. Certain cards want to get popped. Now this is just good against certain other decks. That's why I still put it in here, but it's mid to low tier. It is what it is. Now triple tactic talent. You have to be talented to use this card, and the card itself is talented, because being able to again take over a monster is extremely good. It's extremely good because again, if the Whale doesn't get popped or if Flameberg doesn't go to the graveyard, you're stopping a good amount of disruption or follow up. And then on top of that, being able to look at your opponent's turn while you're doing your combo and they have a max C, they have their own hand traps that you can get rid of before you start doing your own shenanigans, is extremely good. And if they use Ash, you know that you can freely just draw 2 cards, because they use Ash already. You know that they can't stop you from drawing 2. So triple tactic talent is top tier. Top tier, up there, like 9 out of 10. That thing has to be in your deck. At least 1 copy of it. It doesn't have to, but I would put at least 1 to 2 copies of it in a deck. Now, Necro Valley, I don't have to tell you much about that. Necro Valley is a floodgate, basically, because it's just a field spell that's going to be there. But Necro Valley does stop Snake Eyes, Kashira, Snake Eyes, whatever. It's going to stop most of the decks in the game. It's basically, it just does. Because shut down the graveyard, then you're done. If you manage to set up a board with at least 2 negates, And Necro Valley, yeah, good luck getting rid of that unless you have the Harpy's Feather Duster. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the Necro Valley is in here. Now there it is, a Super Polymerization, one of the most cracked, broken cards in this game, and it's basically because it's the best card for going second. You're gonna break boards. I know tier limits like to use them with, on themselves, so they could send the card to the graveyard while fusion summoning and then activating like a Rukalos in the grave. And it does a lot for tier limit mostly, but again, this thing is the best counter to Snake Eyes, Fire King, Snake Eyes, whatever you wanna call it, because you're going to end up with 2 fire monsters on the field. You activate this, they get sent to the graveyard. Now, if one of those fire monsters is Flameberg, it's sad times for you. But if the monster is Arvada and the Whale, then you're having a great time. Because, again, you're not popping anything. This is the best. Extremely good. If you could put some polymerizations in any one of your decks, I say do it. So that's why it's in here. And then it is another one of the secret sauciness. I think this was kind of played during the tier limit shenanigans that we were going through when tier limits was at full power, which is Silent Graveyard. Discard 1 card is a quick play spell, by the way. Discard 1 card. Effects that activate in the graveyard this turn are negated. Now, mind you, make sure that, it's kind of going to stop your own shenanigans too. So it does have its downside. But again, if your deck doesn't care about that, this is one of those saucy cards for you. And then we're going to have the Cosmic Cyclone, which I also think is mid to top tier right now, because of the fact that, hey, whatever's in the back row, you could just banish it. It could be the IP, which of course, you got to make sure the Flameberg's not able to bring it back. But if IP is in the back row, you could banish the IP because it's treated as a continuous spell or trap, right? So this thing is really good. Again, I had somebody when I was playing Fire King Snake Eyes, when they just legitimately banished the field spell, and it was like whole board wipe, and I was not having a good time after that. I still managed to win because, I had some gas on me, but this thing is still good. I would say mid to top tier as of right now. Paying the loss and life points is not even that bad. Honestly speaking, it's not. But I think this is really good. And then we have the Call by the Grave, which of course everybody is one of the most popular ones. Top tier, of course. Why? Because it stops, again, the best hand trap in the game. But also, the thing is just tough, because it's going to negate a card for basically, it's kind of like 2 turns, yeah, but it's more like 1.5. It depends on how you look at it. But either way, this thing is the best one, because again, one of the main cards that's a problem is the Promethean Princess. If you can manage to cover the Great Promethean Princess, you're going to stop a lot of recursion from that deck, from Snake Eyes, Fire King, whatever you want to call it. It's really good. So if this thing was at 3, I would run Call by the Grave at 3. I would 100% would run Call by the Grave at 3, because it's extremely good right now. Banish a card from the graveyard now is negated if they have extra copies during the next turn when they're trying to use that copy to do their combo. No, you can't, because it's still negated. So Call by the Grave is really good. Cross out Designate is just all around top tier. You can't say this card is not top tier. That's why it's limited to 1, because if it wasn't, when Sorso came out, this thing was at 3, I think it was, back when Sorso just got dropped into Master Duel, and it was just a bunch of crossing out that was happening. So it's still top tier. Then we have the Forbidden Droplet Jesus Tears over here. I think Forbidden Droplet, if your deck can play it, is extremely good, because it's going to negate all of the shenanigans on the field. It will. And one of the things about Snake Eyes, Fire King, whatever you want to call it, is that, again, Appaloosa gets destroyed by spells or traps. So now you're going to get rid of 3 monsters negate. And then on top of that, you could, negate the Flameberg as well from bringing the Appaloosa back onto the field. Which, again, they can respond to if you're sending a monster to the graveyard. Which, if your monsters like being in the graveyard, then you're just getting a lot of benefits out of this. So I think Forbidden Droplet is extremely good as a hand trap for this meta right now. And then here it is from Fiendish Comedian, which I think you've seen in one of my replays if you watch the videos for the replays. I think tier limits like playing this, the card likes playing this. Now this is more of like a goofy tech. It's not that great because you're leaving it to the coin toss. It says toss a coin and call it. If you call it right, your opponent's cards in the graveyard are removed from play immediately. They're gone. And then if you call it wrong, send a number of cards equal to the cards in your opponent's graveyard from your deck to the graveyard. So, if your deck likes the graveyard, this thing is good. If your opponent's deck doesn't like getting the cards removed from the graveyard, then it's also good. So it's up to you whether you want to play it or not. At that point in time, you're literally gambling. So it's up to you. Then we're going to run the Transmigration Prophecy, which is really good. It says target 2 cards in the graveyard, shuffle those targets into the deck, which you could send. Well, of course you would have to go first for it to work, but if you can send the Promethean Princess back into the deck, you're getting benefits. If you can send a Garunix back into the deck, you're getting benefits, because they have to search it again. It's just removing certain cards from play is just really good. Again, you just have to know when to remove them, so I decided to put that in there because it's some secret sauciness that you might not know of. And then top tier, I hate this card. But what? Yeah, Yo, I mean, I would still use it, but I just hate getting hit with it because it's so good and it's so annoying. But yeah, evenly matched. You can't match me though, but either way, evenly matched. It's extremely good because again, it wipes out the whole board. One of the things about Snake Eyes Castira is that they kind of can play through an evenly matched depending on the board that you can, but it's still kind of a little bit devastating. Like for example, I was playing and I didn't have the tech to dodge the evenly match, and legitimately I was, playing Snake Eyes Fire King. My one of Flameberg was gone, my one of Ash was gone, and my one of two Poplars was gone too. So the duel got difficult. So evenly matched is extremely good. Again, Appaloosa can't stop it. So evenly matched is definitely top tier right now. Then we're gonna have the Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is basically Effect Barely but better because it plays around the True Protected Talent. It plays around monster effects and shenanigans like that. Now the only thing is that it can be dodged. Again, some of the hand they're still really good. This is still top tier hand trap. It's just right now it's not as good as it was before Fire King came out, because again, Kirin will help you dodge any shenanigans if you have it in the hand. But if they don't have the Kirin, then you're golden, bro. So what does it matter? Infinite Impermanence. Also, Graveyard Trap Hole is really good against the meta, because when your opponent activates a monster effect in their hand, which could be a Poplar, which could be the Kirin itself, you know what I mean? So they can't dodge any shenanigans. You basically just negate it and then you slap them for 2,000 life points. This thing can be good if you can slap it in your deck. I just think it's honestly, it might be a little worth it depending on what type of deck you're playing. Now this thing is only played in like stun decks and stuff like that, or burn. But if you want to slap it in there, I don't see why not. Run the Ice Dragon Prison, which I think is extremely good. Target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon into your field, which that alone could be disruption. That alone is already disruption, right? But it's a face and negated. Then you can banish one monster from both players' field that have the same type as each other. Come on now, it could be extremely good. So then we're gonna run the Sullen Judgment. Now the reason why I think Sullen Judgment can be good as a counter, but it is a counter trap, but basically if they activate the field spell, even against Castira, if they activate the Birth, if they activate the Fire Island, if they activate the Sanctuary, any one of the shenanigans, pop them, negate and pop them, get them out of here. Which is why Sullen Judgment could be really good, because we do have a lot of spell shenanigans going on. I didn't put Spell Fragrance in here just because I didn't want to, but if you want to play the Spell Fragrance, you can do that. It's a Floodgate, but you could do it. Play the game however you want. And then Debunk, which is an super old card, but basically when a monster effect is activated in the hand or graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, banish it. What? That's insane. That's insane. When a monster effect is activated in the hand or graveyard, so Kirin, negate it and banish it. Garunix, negate it and banish it. Flameberg, negate it and banish it. Like, come on, bro. This thing is ridiculous. And a lot of people don't know about it, especially the new people to the game. So that's why I was doing some research. I researched a bunch of cards and looked at the meta website. And I read a bunch of shenanigans. And I found this one in a Reddit post from like 30 years ago. So I decided to show it to you, which I think you should play it. It's really good. Especially if you're trying to go first, you gotta go in first deck. This could be crazy. And then Sullen Strike, I just put it in here because I put the Sullen Judgment. But Sullen Strike is just for, when a monster will be special summoned or a monster effect is activated, pay the 1,500. I don't think Sullen Judgment is that good. I just put it in here because, you're probably going to ask why Sullen Judgment wasn't in here. I put it in here to tell you why it's not that great. It's because it has to specifically pay the 150, this just pays half your life points. So if you have 2 life points, then you just go back to 1. If you don't have the 1,500 life points, then this cannot be activated. So if you didn't get to activate it before you got slapped in the face, you might just not ever get to activate it, which is not that great. So, but you can still run it to negate the special summon of a monster if you like, right? And then I put Red Reboot in here. Now Red Reboot is not good against it's not good against Snake Eyes Fire King at all, because they don't play traps whatsoever unless it's like infinite impermanence and things like that. But if you're dealing with Labyrinth and even Branded, which they do have certain traps, this can come in clutch. And even Pearly, which I haven't seen a lot of Pearly. There is a lot of Pearly. It's just I'm in Master right now, and I'm in Master 4, and I'm in Master 4, Master 5. And like a lot of weirdness happens between Master 5 and Master 1 because some people just like to make it to Master and stay there and play weird decks. So, but I think Red Reboot is still kind of worth it. I would still say it's mid because of the fact that it's kind of situational, you know. And then there it is, another Floodgate, Royal Prison, put your opponent in jail. Neither player can special summon monsters from the graveyard. Now the only reason why this will be good, if you already set your board, set it down to your opponent's turn, you flip this up, it might be GG's. It's like skill drain but for the graveyard. So it could still get popped if they have the Harpy Feather Duster and stuff like that. But again, at that point in time, you just wasn't meant to win if they have the Harpy Feather Duster and you couldn't negate it. But either way, I decided to put it in here. It's a super old card, but if you can run it if you like. I don't know. Now this thing, I was running this in my Sprite deck back in the day when tier limits was at full power. I was running Soul Drain. Activate by paying 1,000 life on monsters that are banished, as well as monsters in the graveyard cannot activate their effects. So Kirin, if it gets popped, cannot activate to special summon and pop a card. Garunic cannot activate to special summon itself if fire monster was popped. Flamebird cannot activate in the graveyard either because it's gonna chain to special summon 2 monsters. I believe that's how it works. I'm pretty sure that's how it should work, because it says activate monsters that are banished as well. No, it should work that way. So that is the last card. These are the best tech cards, best hand traps that I think for the current meta, for the current state of the game, because anything again that can remove graveyard shenanigans, I'll put it top tier as of right now. So with that being said, I'm gonna leave it at that. Let me know any crazy sustenance that you know about, anything that I should have added in here that I didn't. Again, I made this video to try and help you guys figure out what you should be putting and shouldn't be putting into your decks, and these are all the best cards that I think you should be putting in there. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the content. Again, if you enjoyed it or learned something new, remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'm gonna catch you guys next time. It was about time. Peace.